reason. In fact, a brain is not fully developed until a boy is 30 years old.
So Charlie Kirk would be an example of, like, it's probably later than 30 years old when the brain develops, because he's 30. So, just kidding. Just kidding. I just have an edge to me. God made me that way. He did. Okay, so sorry. God made me with some sarcasm and being a smartass sometimes, especially to all this nonsense that's going on with us, this whole group. He's running around to all these campuses, and he actually has kids on these campuses cheering what he's saying, and I'm like, oh God, this is an example of how the whole nation gets propaganda. So see, we carried on for all these years about how the universities have been propagandizing to the students, but they've been doing it with the left stuff. This is the right doing it. It's one thing, we should, not propaganda, but like it's good to promote America's values and those things, okay? But to carry on and all this crap about abortion but I would say that what the beauty of what's happening is he shows how he's not respectful of women, especially older women. Because he sees, like, he would see me as just some liberal, but I've never been a liberal. No, never have. I've been doing videos for 4.5 years. What kills me about all these people, what they never say about Trump, even the news to this day never gives Trump the credit he deserves, or Ivanka, about the efforts and the links they went to in the first administration, and I'm sure this one, with wanting to eradicate trafficking. Never anybody's given Trump that credit. But then this far right would not want to, because then you might realize, well, wait a minute, all of those trafficked women, they've been raped. Yeah, some 50 times a day, 100 times a day. I took care of some of these women. And again, I've done a ton of videos about it, so I don't want to go into the whole story. But that's how I found out it all went back to Trump's executive orders. Because I worked in an ER as a psych nurse, and I started encountering these women because of a safe house in my county. Because of his... So... why I call these people out the most, what enrages me is because after you've seen the trauma that I didn't take care of children, because as Trump has said, the first group that's trafficked is young women. Nobody was over 22. But you can't really put them in a category either, like, because even though they've all experienced the same thing, because they've all been trafficked and just sold as a piece of, like, meat, their traumas are so different and so intense and so all over the place. And one that went on to kill herself, not in the hospital, but she jumped out of a moving van into oncoming traffic on a major freeway. So when I hear this far-right group carry on about how much they care about the unborn life, that's when I know people don't like the swearing, and I've had, some Christians say to me, God doesn't like swearing. Yeah, but I call bullshit on that. So, you can't, if you care, you don't just care about because all they care about is the unborn. Glenn Beck, Charlie Kirk, none of them, have they mentioned at times that Trump was doing something about trafficking, or his Fox News? Well, at times during his first administration, they had to run reports because sometimes there was 3 Marshall rescues in a week. Operation Save You, Operation We Will Find You. Yeah, that's when, I remember in the ER working with, the ER. I was in the ER, but I was a psych nurse in the ER. And the ER nurses were like, why didn't we know about this? Like, why did all these people go missing? And that's when people started learning about this pandemic of trafficking. So what do you think happens to those women that are exploited? They're raped many, 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 many times a day. They get pregnant, they take them into an abortion clinic to get an abortion so they can put them back out on the street. And instead of the far right, whether they're the Christian or just the far right in general, caring about them, there's a bunch of them in this country, not just that group, it's just that group serves this, that say, well, then that's why we need to have an abortion ban. No, that's cruel, because some of them do want an abortion. The traumas they've been through, it's cruel. There's no doubt in my mind that God, the reason life began with breath is because God, do you not think God thought of these things? Do you not think he thought about these things? yet that there's this far-right Christian group, because of these people, that has become very, their hearts are hardened in this area. You have no idea the amount of traumas that these young women will have to deal with the rest of their life. And some, as I said, one killed her, never could. And they go to this home to help them heal, so that they can somehow try to be normal again, and, you know, transition into their families again. So, you know, some being sold over and over again for many years. So look, don't tell me about how much you care when all you care about is the unborn, and God doesn't even see it as a life yet. And I know he doesn't. Not just because it's all over the Bible, but because it's for this reason. Think about how cruel it is that you would want to put in, because put it this way, if God doesn't believe, and he doesn't, that life begins at conception, then all of these people that have been called murderers that shouldn't have been, it's been to hurt them, and many of these women have already been hurt. Because they're lying about the numbers. It's not 1% of rape victims. A rape victim, if they go in to get an abortion, they don't have to tell how they got pregnant. So when you have almost 70% of rape victims that will not report it, and it's very easy to know why. Because when you live in a world where you can see all people care about is the unborn, but could care less about all these victims or all the children in the state system, then you see it's an uncaring world, and oftentimes the victim is who's to blame for everything. So it's no wonder that it's close to 70%. It's between 63 and 90% that do not report. So that raises that abortion rate up high, majorly high. Then you add the trafficking into that, because they're raped too. And there's just no doubt. But in order for them to be their cruel selves, because that's what I see it as, is they just want to be cruel to women, even being some of them women. A likely type of women that believe in this, I think Allie Beth Stuckey herself has talked about this, that, well, the man should be over me. And it's like, okay, yeah, the man is higher and stronger. I get that. There's a place for that. But no, they go to this religious place, but they don't even know the Holy Spirit. Because when you care, you don't just care about the unborn. You actually care about real life. So none of these people that have claimed that they're Trump supporters, by the way, ever given him credit for what he was doing to eradicate human trafficking. Why do you think they've never even talked about it on their shows? They don't. They may mention it here and there, but no, not even Fox. None of them talk about what he was doing, what he was doing to help victims heal with these transition homes. No. Nobody to this day has ever. That's part of the reason I started doing videos too. I'm like, wait a minute, no, everybody going after Trump, it needs to stop. But even these people that are supposedly his big supporters ever talk about that. You know why? Because if they did, it would make the public maybe stop and think, like, wait a minute, if there's this many people being trafficked, that's a whole lot of people being raped. That's a pandemic of people being raped. That's a lot of people having abortions. So we shouldn't be, because most of the country, even that's Christian, believes in exceptions. That far right doesn't want. They want to convince you with all their propaganda that even if they have to lie, and they do, they lie about what the fetus looks like or what the embryo looks like. They lie about what it looks like at certain weeks. They lie about the statistics, that the abortion statistics, total a lie. And they totally disregard, because Charlie Kirk acts like it's just just like he says that it's very rare for women's life to be in danger if they give birth. He doesn't know. I worked at, you know what, he's from Illinois, supposedly. Listen here, Charlie Kirk, I worked at Lutheran General. If you lived where you say you lived, then you know what Lutheran General is. It has a labor and delivery for high-risk pregnancy, okay? I worked on that unit. So you don't know what you're talking about. So he's a liar about that too. There's many high-risk pregnancies, some that have to be aborted. And they did them there. It wasn't often, but they did them. He just doesn't care. He only cares let me put it this way. What they care about is hurting victims that need to heal. That's why I can't support any of it.